Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show all is present, but Councilman Weaver, who hasn't returned back from his trip to his son's wedding in Arizona. We do have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda with the following amendments. 1, a building permit for Ken Kundle, and 2, new business, Jim Gores.
Very good. Kind of a motion to approve the additions to the agenda as presented.
So moved.
The agenda's been approved with the additions of under permits, the Ken Kundle building permit, and under new business, Jim Gordon Associates presentation.
Second it.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Any communications from citizens? Nobody waving their hand online? Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of September 27th, 2022, and approval of the bill September 28th, 2022 through October 11th, 2022. Kind of a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Been moved by Councilman Dimick that we approve the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilwoman Hartke. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Go down to permits, building permit, Hopper Metals.
Received a building permit for a trailer, mobile home, sorry, to be moved to the 1979 Fleetwood 28-foot by 64-foot mobile home. We moved on to lots number 9 and 10, block 6 on the west side addition, which should be off of Maple Street and between 5th and 6th Street. There's a plan for a concrete foundation. Diagram. And there's the highlighted block referenced between 5th and 6th Street off of Maple. And also some pictures were provided. Rotate these a little bit. Here we go. I don't know if it comes furnished or not, or if that's just the.
Better hurry up and move their stuff.
So what year is it?
1979.
So it's all updated on electrical and plumbing? Is that area zoned for a trailer?
Is zoned R1.
Which,
R1. Uses permitted in R1 districts detached. Detached, single-family dwelling and permanent structures and accessory buildings.
so can it be there without a foundation?
I'm trying to find the definition in here of permanent residence. Permanent structure. Yeah, I don't see a definition of permanent structures that does not allow mobile homes either, so. That is a discussion for the council to decide. Definitely does not allow mobile homes.
That is adjacent to my property, is that? Is it correct R2 and R3 allow mobile homes?
R2 allows old mobile homes and mobile homes on lots that have been vacant for less than 6 months.
Okay,
If it's been vacant for more than 6 months, you're not allowed to put a mobile home on it, and it's deemed abandoned, and only a permanent structure may be put in place.
okay, and R2
In R2, R3,
allows.
yes. And another question would be is, if it's a mobile home, it's got a title, has that title been surrendered to make it a permanent home?
Is that a question? Or
Yes.
yes. So that title as was just completed, it transferred from Burlington as the previous owner to Contango. They just had that done. So I submitted what we had at that point because we've not moved it yet, but it will be transferred as well. It's the rest of the neighborhood zone.
That's
Would you say our current zoning regulations would allow a mobile home to be moved?
I would say
Whether-
mobile home, no, but at the same time, it is I think I've alluded to this before, there is a statute regarding installing mobile homes and making them permanent fixtures. Which would mean that if he was to do that under state statute, it'd have to be put in such a way that it could never be removed again like a real house.
So we have to be put on a foundation.
And made sure that there's no way to haul it off other than tearing it down. So that's under state statute. Now, the town, you have only permanent structures. It's not defined, and it's up to the town council to decide what that is.
Trailers are all here.
They make them grandfather in. So they were there when I moved.
It was just moved in recently.
Trees, yes.
And I don't know if this has been brought up before, if there were any minutes from previous meetings to define this. But
So can you last year? Going back,
That's logical.
oh, that's what they moved it from over there. So right next to where Susan Connell lived was a trailer. And then you go up, and there's a house, and you have Homequist as a trailer.
You're talking about that double wide they brought in.
So just looking at, trying to understand, when you look at the surrounding neighbors that have trailers, mobile homes, whichever we want to call it, so you have some stick-built homes and some trailers all within kind of both directions of the white.
I believe past discussions with this council, that it was sort of trying to, like even our new subdivision, which we were gonna zone R1, that we would not allow double wides, and we would only allow, modular homes and stick-built homes was part of our discussion to try to upgrade the town. I believe we've had that exact discussion at the council we have now. The zoning, I think, is very distinct in on discussing the difference between homes and mobile homes. I think it would need some zoning changes, which I think we're going to be looking at that in the near future, to allow a double wide into R1, where they're not even allowed in R2, but ours. We don't have a whole lot of R1 left in town.
where are we talking about?
This is our one. What he's talking about.
This is the other here. So there's other- on an area that's not even zoned yet.
I think, I'm not sure.
What are you talking about?
On those trailers, are they on the R1?
On which ones? On the,
The ones that double wide? That's right across from the Maple, right? That's what we're trying to look at.
on corner Fifth and Maple? On the northwest corner?
I know there's a lot of- I've been here 16 years. Is that one double wide?
HomeQuest, I think is R1. I think that's R1 across the street.
Yeah, it
Double
is.
wide though, isn't it in the blue part?
No. That was the white part.
Oh, it's in the white part.
So we're on, yeah, so you're looking between 6th and 5th.
Well, so here's something else you need to take into consideration on this. It says, whenever the requirements of this chapter are at variance with the requirements of any other lawful adopted rules, regulations, laws, or ordinance, more restrictive, or that which imposes the higher standards shall govern.
My only theory on why there's some trailers in the R1 was that they were put there before it was zoned R1, and so they're essentially grandfathered in. I know we talked about previously, just for some context, that if we change the ordinance to, say, R3, where we wanted to not have mobile homes come in, that existing ones would stay, but once they were moved or demoed, that one couldn't be replaced. It had to be a stick-built structure. Just to fill you in, that was before
Right.
the previous council had talked about that. So in that line of thinking is that anything that was there, depending on when it was designated as R1, could be a mobile home at that point, or it was legal, and then it changed to R1, but it was grandfathered in, so it wasn't, if they were to move, you couldn't put one back in currently under R1 is
Right.
what was discussed, just for context.
Yeah, well, it's, the ordinance, I think, doesn't allow ours too, if there was one that would allow, I guess, if it said 6 months, R1 would not allow another.
Right. I thought we had ordinance on the year of the trailer too.
Two current standards, national standards, which was enacted in 1975. And that's for construction standards of modular homes. And modular homes and all prefabricated homes to follow certain guidelines for mainly electrical.
Right.
And then any changes that were to come on that or adopted by the town would supersede that as well. Which this is after 1979, so it's beyond that code date.
But the issue is it's
Is
a
that
mobile home.
Make it work.
Well, you're definitely, I'm gonna go read the definition here, your mobile home. This is your code. So mobile home, a single prefabricated structure designed for transportation after fabrication on streets and highways on its own wheels and chassis and arriving at the site where it is to be occupied as a dwelling, complete and ready for assembly, location on jacks or permanent foundation.
Or permanent foundation.
Or permanent foundation. So this is the way I'm reading it, because you don't have definition of a permanent structure, but by your statutes, even if it's put on a mobile homes put on a permanent foundation, it's still a mobile home. And that's out of 15.1 under definitions. Versus a modular. Modular is a transportable structure composed of one or more sections designed for use with a permanent foundation.
more land. I don't know.
So does it need, so I guess, I don't know if I should discuss from here from the podium. I don't know which is.
Go to the podium. Should I take this map? Or you need- oh, you need to look.
My name is Mike Dimick. I've requested a building permit for Hopper Metals.
Point of order. Marshall, are we getting into the weeds with Mike? Oh, okay, I'm just wanna, we're no conflict of interest is. Can he present his case here without an issue or?
Yeah, he can.
Okay,
I mean,
very
he's
good,
he's
very good.
applying for the permit.
Okay,
He
very
just
good.
can't vote on it.
Okay, good enough.
So from here, or from there, I don't care. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's however the.
Doesn't
council
make
wants
any
it.
difference, right?
Yeah, it's up to you as the council where you want to
Okay.
stand, but
So I'd like to bring this, so our intended project with this, as you can see on the permit, this is to bring in a home to Shoshoni. It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The intent is to put it on an engineered foundation so it meets qualifications for bank loan. We have a firm that will do that plan. It's out of Riverton that can make it so that when the home is sold, someone can apply for a loan. That is the purpose of it. So it has to meet whatever the HUD or there's some, whatever the engineer says on it. They have a diagram of this is how the foundation has to be in order to qualify for a loan for a home. So the project is merely to provide housing for Shoshoni. This opportunity came available kind of out of the blue. We were able to purchase the lots a couple of weeks ago. We worked with the town's realtor, David Parker. He's the one that contacted the previous owners of it. They agreed to sell. And in looking at the area, I realized there are trailers, mobile homes, whichever we want to call them, on multiple sides of the property. We provided pictures of the unit. The intended purpose or the end result for that is to do new siding on the unit, a porch. We may or may not include a detached garage on there. But I felt like it was in line with what the town is trying to do to encourage affordable housing. And there again, our goal was not to turn it into a rental, even though that would be easier, but to make it so it qualifies for financing from an established lender in Fremont County. So if it doesn't meet parameters where if we need to appeal for a rezoning, if that's what we need to do, I'm willing to do that. Or like I said, I feel like it fits in with the neighborhood and will be a nice addition to the town.
I think right now we can't do anything because of the way it's zoned.
So do we know that everything on the other side of the road is R1 as well?
According to the map, I believe it says yes. It's-
So can we ask for rezoning on that? Has the ground ever, has this parcel, has it been zoned before?
I do not know when this land was zoned.
So when you look on the county, at least on the county map, so everything around it says residential. This particular parcel says residential vacant. Is how the county, I don't know what that means in,
That's for their taxation classification, irrespective of the town's established zoning.
Yeah.
As far as rezoning, it'd be the same process, notifying the adjacent landowners of that, have a public hearing, and like we've done for the other, same process to do that, if that's the case.
I'd go with the rezoning.
most of the adjacent land. So
All the adjacent land around it is zoned R1.
So the land around is all gonna be, part of it's gonna be vacant. So you just contact the vacant owners
Right.
of that. Ask them if they want theirs rezoned at the same time.
I would. Have them zoned R3.
R3.
Yeah.
So only adjacent, so the property across the street won't matter. Is that
Yes,
right?
it does. Let me read what it says here.
This is immediately adjacent. So.
Is that 140 feet?
Yeah,
150 feet?
there's a distance, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it 180? I know we.
150, 140, something like that. Excluding alleys and
Streets.
Streets.
And that does have to go through 3 readings.
No, but it has to be posted. And all the adjacent landowners have to be contacted. And there's a percentage there that if they all agree, it comes before council. If they disagree, then it still comes before council, but it requires a super majority, as how the statute reads, for the council to override a landowner. So it all just depends on which route it goes according to our current ordinances.
Yeah, that's, so if any more than 20% of the lots in the proposed change were adjacent within 140 feet. It doesn't become affirmative except upon vote of 3/4 of the members of the governing body.
Yeah,
Three,
Yeah,
but one can't vote, so yeah, it'd be 3.
no, people. Don't matter if one can't vote or not. It's governing body, whether they're present or not present. Percent based on.
I move we table the zoning request for Copper Metals.
I'll second it.
And I would also, before getting, well, go ahead, I guess, discussion, you want to call for?
What was the motion again, Bob?
To table the building permit.
Okay, and Councilman Harkey second to table the building permit for Hopper Metals discussion.
May I mention something?
Please
I know I'm
do.
not a council member. I also believe at some point regarding this, there, I mean, I wish I had your code memorized, but you know, when stuff like this comes up, it's kind of weeding through the process, but on this one, I definitely think that there needs to be more definition as to what, especially what you as the governing body want to see going forward for this zoning and the types of buildings you want, because it's pretty sparse on what you got for definitions. And so,
So you need definitions of detached or
permanent structures, detached, you know, how you want to interpret those. So,
yes. So you throw in things like able to obtain financing through HUD or the VA loan.
yeah, or if you wanted to, you know, like permanent structure, define it as something that was intended to have, like you have for modular, where it's built with the intent that's going to be on a permanent foundation from the time it's constructed. Right, yeah, I mean, you can create those in those zoning definitions or definitions in general, how you want, so long as it's not less restrictive than the state statute. We can always make it more restrictive.
So I was gonna bring this up, and it's been suggested by our the people that the firm that did our master plan, and suggested that there's a firm out there I know we've been talking about start having, especially the zoning was one of our things on topics. There's a bunch of ordinances we need to look at, change. There's a company out there that will work with the town council and that does that, you know, for a living to help municipalities on their ordinances. And there's, you know, we have a lot of ordinances. I think Marshall would agree that we need to address, make more clear. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I would say so. Make things a little more clear, as well as, you know, make it easier to reference back and forth on some of these definitions.
Well, and what the mayor was discussing was what they do is we submit what our current ordinances are, which we have a Word document that has all our ordinances, and they go through it and they make recommendations for changes. And they also archive it so it's easily searchable online through a database versus trying to go page by page, as well as archive all that onto our website versus our current just PDF scan where you have to basically flip through all the pages. And the recommendations they make back to the council, it's designed to, in one fell swoop, make all the changes, and they're all done. Warcroft did it here recently. I was talking to some of their town people, and it was about $12,000. Just is what.
And say if we had this all cleaned up, if we had a developer looking at wanting to come in and put in some homes here, whatever, it would be relatively less cumbersome, relatively easy to look at what we have for ordinances to help us decide what's allowed where. And
The other part, if we're doing the whole book, there's probably items out there that need to be added that are not even.
well, correct.
included.
Oh, yes,
And that's
that's part of
is
it.
what they'll do is they'll analyze it and then they'll give a document back for council to look at their recommendations for adding, as well as things that the town council wants to move towards, which would include zoning. Some of the things that we've kind of in a hodgepodge way addressed, but it would be one fell swoop, all one thing is what
That's
We
something
could
look at next
address our-
budget session.
we would have to address it through, it would be a budgetary item. We would have
Right.
to address it.
We'd be able to, you know, like our new subdivision, the acres out there, we address all of that all at once. Because we need to do that if we're gonna, you know, be able to move forward and promote and sell the lots out there. That needs to be done. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor to table the building permit for Hopper Metal, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same. All affirmative, note that Councilman Dimick did not vote on that motion. Building permits, Ken Cundall.
Building permit for Ken Kendall at 124 West Sixth Street for the alteration or addition of an awning onto, I believe, the west side of his residence. Which looks like it would be not increasing the height, it would just extend the parameters by 8 foot.
In width.
And with, okay.
Well, with the.
Ken, if you're gonna speak too much, could you please come to the microphone? Brenda Poe. Oh, it's gotta go to the microphone.
Mayor, council, my name's Ken Cumble.
And wooden tin.
Yes, it'd be a pro panel tin matching the existing garage on the roof with no sides. What it is just an awning that was intended to been put on there when we built the garage and it never got done. So want to add that now.
So you'll just have crushed rock or something for the flooring of it, or?
No, we poured with the original
Okay,
permit for the garage, we poured the concrete
okay,
and the concrete's there. And it'd just be four before support beams and then
okay, yeah. I didn't see anything here on the flooring of it, so I didn't know
yeah,
what it was gonna be.
yeah, it's there and existing. It's concrete.
Any other questions for Ken? Can I have a motion to approve the building permit? If none,
I'll make the motion.
Second,
been moved by Councilman Hartke, second by Councilman Zent. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Goes the same. Motion passed, affirmative. New business. Jim Gore and Associates have a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Jim Gores, James Gores and Associates, as all of you know. We have handed Mayor Highsmith a copy of two different and related proposed engineering agreements or draft engineering agreements for the work, the design work that's going to be needed for the wells and well houses. And then one also for the tank and its access road. There's a third one yet to be completed or compiled that will address the SCADA system, for the water system. All of these projects are part of the overall applications for ARPA funding that had been put together in conjunction with you folks for the proposed projects that developed out of the level 1 water master plan that was completed last fall. So this is a continuation of that project and get the there's several elements to it. It's suggested that the well house for well number 2, I think all of you know that is the well nearest the reservoir. On east of the reservoir and downstream of well 2 is well 5, which is a well pit in it that is problematical to its access and service. Continuing on toward the tank, there's well number 6, which also has a well pit with the same sort of access difficulties with it. And then continue on toward town, you've got well number 4 that lies between here and the tank that, as you know, gets used when there's difficulty with tank or the other 3 wells and supply water to the town. Be happy to answer any questions on that. For the well, for the tank and access road, which is the other one that Mayor Highsmith has in hand, is to review the tank and the confined space vault that houses the valves and I believe a meter there, and is does not meet current state standards for access. These SCADA system, which we haven't gotten the proposal put together, the draft contract put together on yet, will tie all of the water system, tank and wells together to operate as an automatic unit. So, and all of those projects are proposed in the American Recovery Act funding, ARPA funding, which has been compiled and submitted to the state. So, and as Officer Kanjai indicated, the state will, I believe on the 27th of this month, will recommend distribution of those funds, which you folks and many other communities in the state have all applied for. So. And what we would like to have, or would suggest that we go through these agreements with you folks, or and so that you know what's in them, how they're operating, and these are, it's called an EJCDC, in other words, an industry standard engineering contract. Pretty straightforward, though, as you can see, is many pages. So be glad to answer any questions you got at this point.
I got a couple. I got one copy. I'm just trying to
Sure.
go over. I see. See a fee schedule.
All right.
See an estimated cost.
Yeah, an estimated fee. Basically, the estimated fee on the tank and access road is right at $100,000 for the 3 wells and getting the those well houses refurbished or replaced is right at 200,000. So
For the engineering.
mhm.
So
Yes.
the 100,000 covers what?
The tank and the access road
Okay,
and that confined space vault that is there. And as well as the drainage away from that tank where the spill comes off the edge of the hill.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm Jeff Gee with James Gorson Associates. Those fee estimates also include construction monitoring and project closeout. So about half of it is construction monitoring.
construction fee, yes.
So the actual initial engineering would be about half that. So just to clarify.
So would this be the town selecting Gores to be the engineer for the whole project if awarded from the ARPA funds from the state?
I'm sorry.
Would this be an agreement, as you said, it's for all inclusive, would this lock us in that Gores would be the engineering firm that's going to do the construction if awarded from the state? So we
Yeah,
pre-select-
construction monitoring and the design both, yes.
And is it your understanding that the town's under no obligation to put this engineering service out for bid?
Yes, that's correct. Or out for proposals, yes. And that has been discussed with the state officials, so I believe you're in the clear in that regard.
So this is,
See, I'm confused here because I thought it was anything over 35,000, 30,000 had to be out for bid. So
It's not, Councilman's proposals, not bids, but
if professional services do not have to, if my understanding, professional services do not have to be put out for bid.
not for bid, no.
I think in the past, we have put it out for bid.
Yeah.
But we're not required by state law to put it out for bid, professional services. That's my understanding. If we're buying cars or
Right, I
buying
understand.
equipment
Yes,
or
that's correct.
a construction job, we're required anything over 35,000.
And these projects will be bid out to construction companies who'd be interested in building the systems that we're talking about here.
And for instance, just like the last selection we did for engineer for our level 2 water study, you look at firms and they have a bid, but we don't even see the bid until a firm is, basically selected, and then you need to try, if the firm is reasonable there, regardless if they're the lowest or highest, the firm is
And it's a
chosen.
negotiated services.
Yeah, and if they feel that the cost estimate is not in budget or whatever, then you try to negotiate with the firm that you prefer. And if that firm is unable to come within budget, then you go to this next firm down.
Yeah.
So the statute 15-1-113 for contracts for public improvements, section A, first sentence, all contracts for any type of public improvement excluding contracts for professional services. And it goes on. Have to be put, essentially everything excluding contracts for professional services have to be put out for bid.
Mhm. That's correct.
So the contract for, and then, so, or what were specifically the three proposals we put out there for ARPA funds?
So we had the SCADA system, the well house, wells and well house, and then the water
Road.
storage tank and access to the wells.
Yeah.
Were the three projects. My biggest question though is I understand, shovel ready projects, but I have a couple questions. The biggest
Sure.
one is I don't see how between now and the 27th that this is going to have any impact on us being more ready versus us getting a word on the 20. How is this going to increase our chances by doing this now with the time frame being so short?
Oh, well, yeah, no.
It's not going to have any, it's going to have negligent impact on our chances of getting it at this point in time versus if we're talking about this 6 months prior and had this done versus 2 weeks before the meeting.
Yeah.
It's not, just because we selected an engineer, that's not going to be shovel ready, increase our chances of getting any of the grants. My only question is how this process is going to, because of the cost and there's some other concerns too, but the biggest thing is just at this juncture, with our finances, I don't. I want to make sure we get the grants and have the best chance to get them.
Yes,
I also don't
yes.
want to
And we do as
risk
well.
hamstringing the town in the future either.
Yeah, and this gives you the opportunity to be ready to go with the engineering services as soon as the funds are available.
Sure.
And that's really it.
But if we have your proposal, if we have all three of them and give the council a chance to review them.
Mm-hmm. Then you're,
And so then we could be ready to react
Yes.
after the award. Is there a disclaimer in this if anything we sign? Because we're not, if we at this juncture, if we got a plan B
yeah,
to chase other funds. If our ARPA fund does not come through, we got a plan B where we're gonna chase other funds to continue to
Sure.
do the work. But that'll be next year sometime or the year
Yeah,
after,
yeah,
hopefully next,
yeah.
yeah,
yes.
correct?
No, we're not saying that you're locked into committing to this funding if it doesn't come through. I mean, there's,
Is there a disclaimer in the contract that says that?
it doesn't say that, but we can, we'd be happy to
It'd be
provide
easy
it.
it'd be easy to add is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yes, very much so.
And
So-
so it's 100,000 and you said in approximately
That's for.
for one and for the
The other
well
one's
houses,
right
that's
at
about
200,000,
200,000.
yeah.
I hadn't found that yet. But then-
It's not in there.
Oh,
Mayor.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's
saying.
a
Just-
separate-
just the one.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't found.
It's
then-
in the second,
And then the
Packet there.
third one would be the SCADA system.
correct. And we're not certain what that would be at this
Okay.
point, but, so we'll get all of those available for your review and concurrence and, once you're awarded the funding, then you can either decide to move forward with it or
Okay,
wait or modify what we've presented to you. So,
that's just a little over, what's today, the 11th?
11th, yeah,
That's over 2 weeks,
Yeah, that's the
27.
couple weeks. So, and in that time frame, we can have you the SCADA system.
It'll be
estimate.
like on a Thursday.
Yeah. I believe that's correct, Thursday, yeah.
Thursday. Anyway.
Half
so-
the state is waiting for that day, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I believe there's 40, is that correct? $40 million available and.
That's
and
one of the
City of
numbers.
Lander applied for 50 million. So, but, and I'm sure they're pretty needy, but we have a lot of needs here and hopefully we can get one of these.
Well, yes, and you got demonstrated needs through that level
Right.
1 study, so,
Yeah. No, we've done all of our steps. prior
Yes,
to
you have.
possibly, Yeah,
yeah.
definitely got very good. Well,
So-
what's the council's pleasure on this?
I just wait.
It seems like if we get the funding, we'll have to vote on what to do with it. If we don't
Right.
get the funding. So if he prepares whatever he wants to prepare once we hit,
Right,
like I said, it's a toss up. If we get it, great, we'll move forward. If we don't get it, then
yeah, we'll go to plan B and move forward.
Well, with this, you got something to move forward with if you get the funding.
Right. Which we got a good start here.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're not in any way stating that regardless of whether you get the funding or not, you're locked into
Sure,
those projects at these estimated fees. So,
sure.
we're available for any other questions you got.
Okay. Any more questions for Jim?
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thanks much. We'll stay in touch.
Do you have the electronic versions of these, Jim? Sorry. I just didn't have any. I don't know if you just got it today, so if Ginger can send them to me, or at least that way I have them.
Yes, we can get them to you.
Okay, you bet. Appreciate it. The police department head report, chief.
Just a couple things. So having some issues with juveniles running four-wheelers, motorcycles, not on sidewalks, but on the streets. And so want to make a few things clear. First, that all improved or monitored streets in the state of Wyoming are by definition highways, which on a highway, there's certain things that are required. A driver's license, registration, and insurance. So in Shoshoni, there's been a lot of leeway on juveniles being able to, and adults, take their four-wheelers, motorcycles, etc., and drive them out of town to ride them on BLM and public lands, which not all of them are registered, not all of them are over the age of 16 with a driver's license or have insurance. The problem has become that leeway has been abused immensely. So I want to make a few things clear for any council that get any questions of what's going to happen now. That there's a couple things with that if the children are going to ride a four-wheeler or motorcycle and you allow them access to that, you need to monitor and ensure they're doing it properly, not spinning cookies and tearing up the streets and roads. Not being excessively loud and disturbing the tranquility of the neighborhood. But also, just for information purposes, if you allow someone to knowingly violate the law, whether it's a child or not, I don't feel holding a 14-year-old responsible is necessarily going to fix it when the parent needs to be the one parenting the kids. And so if I'm put in the position, the police department's put in the position that we have to do that it does not preclude us from citing the parents that provide utilities for them to do that. It's gotten to that point.
Can you impound the vehicle?
Yes, I can. I'm not making threats in any way. When I say threats, I'm not saying this is how it's going to be, but I'm putting out a warning that it's getting to the point that it can't be ignored. And it's being abused to the point that it's causing immense problems. And it has to stop. So I'm pleading for the parents to step up and talk to their kids and prevent them from doing that, or not allow them to have access to it if they're going to abuse it. But if you put me in a position where I have to be the bad guy, then I will knock on your door and we will deal with it a different way.
I don't think you're the bad guy. I think you're the guy that says this is the rule. It's no different than if the sign says 30 miles an hour and you pull them over. It's a statute, it's in the thing. I would agree with you 100%. I see kids rolling around with no helmets on, blowing up and down the roads, and
Enough's enough.
because it doesn't meet parameters. If they wanted, there's a right and a wrong. If the vehicle is not registered, if it's not insured, if they hit somebody
Or get hit themselves.
or get hit themselves, it's
And the thought is, allow them to safely drive it out there in the county where they can have fun
Sure,
and do those stuff.
but going to fast lane and back is different than going out to the BLM.
And then spinning cookies up all the way down, kicking up rocks. And it's just, we're all been kids too, but,
Sure.
I want everyone to know that the parents are ultimately responsible for what their kids do.
I think the fact that we're not allowing kids to ride hoverboards down the sidewalk, but we're allowing them to run
A four-wheeler or a motorcycle or.
I feel like that would be, if there was an issue, that would be one of those things to come back and say, so you're gonna cite a kid for riding his hoverboard down the sidewalk, but the kid that's not insured on a machine that he shouldn't be on, et cetera, and that's okay. I think you would feel better as the parent, as the adult, knocking on their door saying, this is our standard,
Exactly.
and
So fair warning, the leeway has been extended and it's been used.
So have you pulled anybody over? and
Yes.
Talked to them already
I have
multiple times?
twice. And I was a little bit more forceful the second time. But again, taking action on a 15-year-old, it's the same thing with holding a 15. Yes, they need to be held responsible. But at some point, who's enabling that 15-year-old to be able to do the things? And that's my point, is that it's not simply just a 15-year-old that is at fault here. It's the one enabling and allowing that, knowingly allowing that to continue and doing nothing to stop it. And it falls on my shoulders to put an end to it. So that's how it's, where we're going, the path we're going to go down. If that's going to continue, and I'm mainly as a plea for assistance and help from the parents to monitor and help me to help your kids be safe, but also to rectify the problem in the community with these recreational activities. But especially with the winter getting here, it's just, it needs to be addressed, and that's how it's. Appreciate that. That's.
Well, I think, I mean, consider, this goes back to what do you spend your time doing? Whether it's somebody's dog that they're letting run around or somebody's four-wheeler. I agree, the responsibility comes back to the owner of said animal or said vehicle. And if the dog is running around, you don't just say, go home, dog. You impound it, they pay a fee.
Mhm.
If it's a four-wheeler and they don't have a driver's license, if it's an automobile, you'd say, I'm sorry, you need to walk, but the vehicle needs to stay here until a licensed somebody can come remove it.
Yeah.
Or call a tow company and say, you need to impound this four-wheeler.
Yeah, and that's, all those are options. And really, I just want to be direct with the council and anyone that's talking, you were asking, this is how it's going to proceed. Because it needs to be addressed, and just some common sense really is all it requires, and the problem goes away. But if in absence of common sense, then I have to take action. So I'll get off my soapbox, but that's.
I think it's a legit concern, whether you're talking about vandalism or I mean,
Yeah.
there again, spinning cookies in the road, and it's expensive and it causes damage.
And the town has to fix it. The last one, I had them out there raking it and fixing it. But again, once you do that, taking a rake and stamping
not
your
the
foot on it,
same.
it's not the same. It's still rutted. It needs to take care of our stuff. It's why we can't have nice things.
Mhm.
As far as the calls for service go, not too many juvenile problems. Most of them were relegated to the school. So that's been good with school being in. We haven't had as much issues. One good thing is we had no DUIs this month in September. We had 2 right at the end of August. We did have some canine deployments. We also had a canine deployment at the school, which was more of a introduction that we have this capability. So we did work with the school and had our canine go through, and just wanted to report that there was no alerts by the canine at the school, in the parking lot or inside the school. So that is a very good, positive thing for Shoshoni. Can't say the same for other communities in their school, but ours did not. So that's good, but we do have that capability anytime we can with the school. So we just wanted everyone to be aware that we can do that. So I think it's a good deterrent for those types of activities in school. We did have a couple of warrants and I'm not sure if you guys remember the little pursuit we had through town. We did activate and deploy spike strips and got the vehicle stopped just outside of town, kicked off in the canyon, came through town about 70 miles an hour. So we did slow him down with our spike strips, and he was apprehended by the sheriff's office and state parks. I did throw in the call volume. It actually increased a little bit. So our difference from last year is only 4% less in calls. We're still 23% over 2020 and 18% over 2019, which is pre-COVID. So we're still pretty much tracking along with last year as far as our call volume. I wasn't quite able to get all these stats together. I had some of them, but I didn't want to do it half baked, so I wanted to make sure I had them all as far as our difference in call volumes. But I can tell you preliminarily, it's going to show that we've had an increase in DUI, we've had an increase in drugs seized and drug calls, as well as domestics in town from years past. So that has trended upwards. But I will have that at the next one. I do apologize. I just didn't get it done fully, so. That's all I have. Any questions on that? Any complaints or concerns?
Did we touch base last time about their new police vehicle?
Oh, so yeah, obviously we knew it came in, but it's waiting for everything else. So it's just sitting there for about 2 months.
It's nice stickers.
It has nice stickers. It looks nice. I had a lot of compliments on it. So hopefully that new scheme seems, or schematic or decal seem to be a lot more popular than the low profile ones that nobody seems to like. They do reflect it nice though.
Did you make decisions on the Crown Vics? Are they going up for auction?
So, yeah, that's okay. I should have brought that up. Thank you for bringing it up. So I would like to do that publication for auction. We have 3 vehicles that we can put up and get that going. If I can advertise that, we can have those public auction or sealed bids or however we want to do it like we did last time. Sometime at the second meeting in November. That would work.
What's your preference? Sealed bids or there's only 3 vehicles?
Well, we'd have 4, but
3.5.
they swapped the vehicles. Remember the public works vehicle is supposed to be here like 4 months ago. It's not gonna be until sometime next year. So we'll have 4 vehicles when that one does come in. But for now, we have 3.
I'd get rid of the 3 right now, just so they don't sit around and be vandalized. And
Exactly.
there's more value in them now. If they're actually running, there's a better chance of them be running now than 6 months from now.
So I'll put the ad in the paper this week and we'll advertise it, and then we'll just plan on having you want to do sealed bids again like we did last time?
I
or-
go sealed bids.
Works. Okay. I'll get that done.
Simpler.
I think Mike wants to buy a Crown Vic.
You look good in the Crown Vic.
What about the last ones? They made it from there to there. They're still there buried somewhere.
These actually still drive pretty well. One does.
Company vehicles.
I mean, they are venerable engines, I guess, those Crown Vics. I'll give them that. We'll get that done.
Excuse me. Any other questions for the chief? None being, let's go to the round table. Mike, do you have anything you would like to bring up? Bob, do you have anything you'd like to kick around?
Does anybody in our maintenance department know how to run a grader?
On that
No,
subject, we have a person that's going to help educate them.
Yeah.
show them. So
Okay.
that's covered.
Because
yeah, we got some training
I've
set
had
up.
people talk about the washboards in town on the roads, and so I'm just bringing it up and saying, hey. And
We've
Okay, so-
contacted a real good blade operator that's going to help us out and also give current personnel training lessons.
I can name one that I know lives on my site.
How busy are our town operators as far as what if we contracted a person to use our blade for a couple of weeks or prior to winter, as far as they're using our blades, we're paying them by the hour for their brain. And if we have enough personnel to do it or not, I don't know. That would assist with snow plowing going forward. I don't know if it's a problem snow plowing on washboards or not, or
I guess it depend on the availability of the individual to be able to help get our guys up to speed on usage versus the need. If it's, that might be something to look at. It's something that's gonna be protracted out. We do have money for contract personnel services.
Just if you said something like, well, pay 40 hours to be completed by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be, I guess I don't know the person to contact, but that'd be something to, in that regard for a contract, but that would be something to look at depending on the availability.
I think just like the demolition stuff, you could send out a couple of notices to contractors or even they're currently across the street working and say, we're looking for somebody, we'll provide 40 hours at a rate of X dollars. Are you interested? Someone might say yes, 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 no. I don't know how, if the staff has adequate time now, or if they would like to do it, or if.
No, Mike has definitely expressed the interest in actually getting some into training. And I've contacted some.
So is it gonna get done? I mean, that's what I mean. Does Mike have a sufficient amount of time in his workload to do it this season?
Oh, it'll get done one way or the other. I guess, yeah, what I'm saying, that if it's not, this is gonna be protracted out, I'll find something to bring up and get it done.
Like I've said, I've already done that.
Those are my only questions.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's valid. Or
No,
No, I've already contacted somebody. Tammy.
He did it.
Okay. I'd like, I went down to Cheyenne Tuesday and our level 2, and we, Gores and Associates was chosen to be our engineer for that. The grant cost the town nothing. It was a $248,000 approximate grant. That's gonna, the main studies me addressing why our water lines blown up and look at different issues. Would you care to Keith or Jim come up and talk that a little bit about that?
Once again, I'm Jim Gores. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Wyoming Water Development Commission has funded your request for the funding to analyze and then hopefully give us some direction on rectifying the situation, which the transmission line between the final well, number 6, and the tank periodically ruptures, and then that drains the tank and leaves the town without water, and the crew is left to the task of trying to get out there, and the last couple of times it's broken, it was in inclement weather, and they're out there trying to hurry up and get the line repaired and the town back in the water. Pretty unsettling position really to be in. But anyway, the state has awarded funding to go ahead and get that problem studied and path forward resolved with it. And then leading on to getting hopefully construction contracts put together to go ahead and rebuild that section line or put in equipment that will stop that surging. And what's going on, we believe, is that well number 6, as you may know, has some gas production in it. We don't know what type of gas it is. In fact, the Dr. Bob, or excuse me, Bob, or Dr. Tell from the University of Wyoming is looking into it. He's not come to any conclusions yet with it, but So there's ourselves as well as him and our own sub-consultants with Western, or with John Wetstein with Engineering Associates is we'll be looking into how to resolve that problem and get it solved so that that'll hopefully be history in several months from now.
I believe next spring, there's gonna be some water samples
Yes,
taken that possibly because it's that time of year that the ruptures always occur, that possibly there's some trapped gas.
yeah, they thought it
seasonally.
might be some hydrate that,
Yeah,
which I don't fully understand, but they know what they're doing with it. And will come to give us some guidance as to how the heck to resolve that problem, but
it's John Wetstein,
yes,
one of the top hydrologists in the
Yeah.
state.
yeah.
That's on
What's
this-
going on, we suspicion is that gas is coming out of solution after it leaves well 6 and heads up to the tank. You wind up with, for lack of any better description, a gas bubble in that line that acts as a piston. And as the well shuts down or something, where there's a water hammer occurs and it stresses the pipe beyond its strength. So, but that's a suspicion. What we're trying to do is find the actual solution and the reason for it. So, any questions on that? You about picked my brain as clean as you can at this point.
What time frame do you think we're looking at for this level 2 study?
I'm right now, don't hold me to it, but I think we should be the funds will become available once the legislature meets, and then we'll go to work on it. So it's going to be the earliest will be sometime mid to late summer and more probably into the fall.
Next
Yeah.
fall.
Try and get it nailed down, but you guys can't continue to, well, you can continue to operate that way, but that's certainly not safe or convenient. And obviously when the tank is run dry, you're without fire protection and, Shoshoni doesn't need that.
3.5 years ago, when we ended up on a boil water order and we drained our tank, that's what happened there. The line ruptured. I got my 15 seconds of fame. I was on K2 twice for about 6 seconds. Yeah. And so, but it's that was the cause, and we're trying, and it happened in the past. And so we're trying to nail that down,
Yes.
determine the cause. And it seemed to be well 6. That well we use. We don't use that well a lot because it has some gas in it. It
imparts a taste to the
Yeah,
water.
you can tell, the residents can tell if we never use that well, or to my knowledge, we never use that well directly. It's blended with other wells, but at times we use it some.
And Dr. Tell shared some information with the council that, or excuse me, with the mayor that as to what else they've found preliminarily on the water sample they took. So they're still working on trying to figure out what if anything those water samples can tell them. So
But anyway, but any other questions for Jim?
and if you do have questions, don't hesitate to call us, please. And we'll tell you what we know.
Okay, thanks a lot. We've had we have contract water supervisors that have license from Riverton. They recommended that we get some alarm systems that would like notify us. Now, that's our SCADA system that we're looking at. but they have one for well 6 and that will software and stuff they're proposing. About 12,000 bucks for a warning system if we, I guess at one time we may have had this, like if the tank goes down to a certain level, that we will have alarms going off that probably my house too, I don't know. But anyway, we'll have alarms take off to our water department that they would know if there's something, if the tank gets below a certain level. Hopefully we could avert draining the tank all the way again. This is something that probably we would talk, and I think we probably be able to get this funded if we get this in, maybe able to get this funded in a future grant. Majority of this paid for, but I thought I'd bring it to council and get talking about it if we might want to kick around how long we want to wait to put something like this in. There again, we don't have, if we decided, I'll get copies of this to everybody. And there may be something we decide that's important enough that maybe we want to do on our own without a grant. Jim, do you have something you could add to
Mayor and
that?
Council, what Mayor Highsmith.
Could you please come up and speak? Thank you, Jim. That way everybody can hear you on
Yes,
the
okay, very good.
microphone. Yes, that's the reason.
Sorry. What Mayor Highsmith is talking about is getting some alarm systems in that would alert you if the tank was trying to drain or whatever, as well as perhaps some other things. But if we can get a copy of that, that'd be appreciated. But the thinking has gone into what we're proposing as a portion of the SCADA system
Correct.
that will be encompassed into the project we were just talking about. So I'm guessing that all of that will be incorporated into what we're planning on.
Right, if we get awarded that.
Yeah, right.
And
Well, and if you get your ARPA funds.
yeah, if we get the HARPA funded,
Yeah.
it includes that, but if we don't, we may want to still look at.
Sure, yeah.
So, like I said, it's not in our budget. I think it's about 12,000 bucks, something like that, but it's something that we may.
Yeah, and
Hopefully we get that and it's in there. But I just, 11,911, so almost $12,000.
yeah,
I wanted to bring that to council just to make, that was suggested by our operator that we have from Riverton, that he said, we really ought to have that.
yes, you should. And it's some of those alarm systems were at one time available to become non-functional over the years and for various reasons. But anyway,
We may have had one in the past. I
You
think
did,
we
yes.
We did, but it didn't work.
all right. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Certainly.
But I'll get a copy of this to everybody. You know, the last thing, I need to address that we have a councilman that may not live in the city limits anymore. And
Ooh, did Bo move?
but that's, I don't know, Marshall, could you address state statute on that?
Yeah. Okay. So Wyoming statute 15-1-107 doesn't allow a council member to be a member if they live out of the district, except under Wyoming statute 22-23-101. So Wyoming statute 22-23-101 will allow a council member to be a council member if they live outside the district, if there is a redistricting or the lines change for some reason, and they can stay until their term expires. And that also applies if the changes occur while they are running for council. So essentially, if someone has moved voluntarily out of their districting zone, then they can't be a council member anymore. And the way that has to be determined is it has to be brought up at council, as the mayor has done, that there is a belief that someone is living outside the district, then and no earlier than 14 days after this has been brought up, there has to be a meeting to determine if that's the case or not. For the general public to attend, whether it be a special council or a general council.
How do you determine residency?
Well, I can look into that. I didn't look into that too much, but there's different statutes for that as well. A lot of them have to do with the intent of where you live and where you actually reside at or stay at for the majority of your time.
So where I'm currently at, so we have been in transitioning of moving. I currently, all my mailing and residential stuff is linked to 415 West 3rd Street, my voter registration, etc. I own that property. So it's been our intent to transition out, if I so desire to take that as my legal residency, would be outside the district.
Well, so I'm just going to stop you right now because the council can't decide on that now. And basically, everybody's going to have to inquire about it for the next 2 weeks or more after it's set. And then the council decides on that. So if you guys want more definitions from me on what residency is, I will be more than happy to provide those. But ultimately, it's going to be up to the council to decide if Mr. Dimick, where his residency is.
Anybody have anything else?
Can you get it rezoned?
It's always an option.
Anybody have anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Dimick to adjourn. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by, pardon?
I got one thing.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Bring up. I don't know if I brought this up before, but I got more notices from
Oh,
the Board of Equalization. So they've given us the notification that we have timely filed, properly filed, and that they're moving forward with schedule. They haven't scheduled a hearing yet. That they notified the county clerk that the county must provide them with a complete record of hearing for them to put together everything, and then it's scheduled to file our motions and briefs.
excellent. Moving forward on that, that's a good thing. Any further discussion before we vote on adjourning the meeting? None being all in favor to adjourn the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative at
8:39.
8:39. Thank you.